Thanks, E4M, for giving me an opportunity to do this. This is such a great panel I have on stage here. And thanks for using that photo. Pretty nice. I think I do realize I probably need to get one clicked with a tie. But I really like that photo because it was shot in Spain. Although I think I've lost a bit of weight since then. Uh, Um, but do you guys see what I've just done? That was my, play at marketing. I've, subtly let you know that I've been to Spain and I've lost a bit of weight. But, that's the extent I know about marketing. But the panel here, they are marketing leaders, and they come from organizations which have a big role to play in our lives. So, and the topic today is very relevant, staying ahead in a rapidly evolving consumer and media landscape. It's a mouthful, but, short attention spans, AI, so many platforms and so many things happening, and how do these companies, from a marketing standpoint, stay ahead in the game? So that's, I think, the discussion going to be all about. It's a post-lunch session. I hope you guys stay awake. And Sumit here has kindly volunteered. He's going to throw his mic at whoever dozes off. And Mayank has a very strong arm as well. He's assured me that he can throw right till the end of this room, and he has a very good aim as well. So yeah, let's get started, guys, and we'll start with the lady, and I'm going to have a bunch of questions, and we'll go around the panel talking about a few things. So I think we already got introduced to the panel, but we have Kanika from Airtel, we have Mayank from Vivo, there's Rachit from Qubo, Sumit from Qualcomm, and Tathagat representing HMD. So, Kanika, let me start with you. My first question to you is, over the past decade or so, how have you seen marketing change? And one memorable experience of you adapting to a new format of communication?
I think over the last decade, marketing has changed leaps and bounds. There used to be a time when, linear was the only focus, out of home, print used to dominate. But now I think post-COVID, things have really changed. What changed for us also at Airtel, like we used to be in a lot more storytelling format. We used to create long format, ads which were like 60 seconders, 45 seconders, and sometimes even like a 90 seconder. So I think that really changed for us, post-COVID, as audiences started moving to a lot more digital. You couldn't, and then the audience today has an option to skip your ads. But as a marketer, I still want to show them. So therefore, we started curating content which were like 30 seconders or even below. But for us, as we are in the service industry, storytelling is most critical. There was a lot of back and forth on how do we do this. And, on OTTs, we actually got them to do non-skip ads for us for even 45 seconds because we wanted to expose the audiences on long storytelling, etc. So I think that was one big change for us in the way we started operating on marketing and brand storytelling.
I think pretty much Kanika said the entire thing in terms of yes, the largest shift happened from a linear to a digital. But I think we might be talking about a decade. But I think from a digital point of view, talk about any alternate year, it's the different thing. We start from a 60 seconders, we went to a 30 seconder, we went to a 15 seconder. Now I say, okay, attention span is only 8 seconds, and some platform says 3 seconds. So now I'm kind of confused. It should be, I'll be actually doing a video, or should I just do a GIF and say, okay, thank you, I save my money in production, and I'll get more eyeballs into our stuff and all. Yeah, so this is kind of stuff. And also I think it keeps on coming bounce back in terms of, it's not like linear is dying at a total level, but sometimes there's just TV, then comes IPL, all of a sudden TV goes back. Then there is print at Diwali comes, you see always print jackets coming into 8 pages, 9 pages of jacket. So I don't see it's like a major shift happening into that case, but yes, digital is being accepted a lot stuff in that case, and wherein the shorties, which is the short format videos, based I mean, we are blessed we don't have TikTok in India. Otherwise, we would have been spammed like anything. But yeah, the Instagram coming on, the YouTube Shorts coming on, the share chat, Moj coming on, and things like this. So there's quite shorties thing coming into is pretty much there. Yeah.
Shorties, that's a nice word. Rachit?
I think in addition to the media, the content has changed drastically. Back in the day, we spent the entire year planning for that one big campaign. But now that campaign is happening every month, practically every week, but the impact might be lesser or it will be a lot more frequent. So the amount of attention which the brands are having to spend on getting customers to stay attentive is huge. I remember we used to practically spend months planning out one campaign, just from a creative standpoint. Okay, what could be that punchline I want to drive? But now, every day, every week, we're practically closing one short campaign and then bursting it out across different platforms. So I think that's a massive change creatively which has taken place over the last few years.
So you would say that the shelf life of these campaigns is also much shorter than before?
Totally. As in, you'll see something in the morning, by evening, most likely you've forgotten about it. As a brand, you definitely need multiple things happening to stay at the top of mind of the customer and kind of make sure that that impact is such, it stands out in the competitive clutter also.
You had something to add, Mayank.
Yeah, I'm just adding to it. So I think a few of my media folks or my agency folks are there. He's very rightly said, it's not a campaign, it's a creative now. A creative is a campaign. We evaluate creative to a different level altogether. It's so minute. Why? Because every creative is a campaign in itself. Shorter shelf life, larger value. Should we investing how much? At what duration? At what frequency? It's a campaign in itself now. Yeah, there's gone other days which is a one TVC which runs for 6 months. No. It's creative which is being done A/B testing. We say, okay, TK, forget about A, B, C, D, E testing happening now and see which ones to spend, how much, for what duration, what frequency. No set definition, okay, frequency of 5 a week, 2 a week, 3 a week. No. It's just as dynamic as it could be. Yeah.
Sumit, what's your take on this?
I think, I'll take you over. Okay, I think I'll not speak about the last decade, but I think in the last 5 years, things have completely changed. Now, every medium, right, has a very different role to play, right? I'll not say that linear has gone out of the picture altogether, but every medium has a very important role to play. Like, for example, when you use TV or a print, you use it for awareness, right? But the final purchase intent or consideration is actually happening across a YouTube, across user reviews, and multiple many more things, right? So even Reddit marketing, right? And you see, for example, Apple using Reddit very, very intentionally in the India market, right? So mediums have changed. The role of that particular medium has also changed, right? It is basically an evolving consumer, okay? I think India is the only place, right? Earlier, see, we are not, for example, taught product marketing in our colleges, okay? Like, you go to any college, you will not see a product marketing course, right? The understanding of the product, especially at the consumer level, has increased many folds. Okay, so people want to know more, hence different mediums. A TV will make you more aware, but at the same time, a YouTube will help you diving deeper and then coming to a purchase decision, right? So every medium, different roles, same customer, you have to map the entire journey to finally make a purchase. So that is how difficult and complicated it has now become.
Yeah. So yeah, lots been said, and I quite agree with my fellow panelists. So 2 things that I'll just add that if you look at it, especially last 5 to 10 years, from a briefing creative standpoint, it's pretty much now become standard to have multiple formats, horizontal and vertical. Right from the beginning, and agencies are also acutely aware of it. And even within vertical also, there's a certain 60% that you need to keep free, and the bottom 40% needs to be for something else. So all those awareness has been there. And somewhere taking off from what Mayank said is that a lot of times, whether there was a big spender or small spender, if you have a campaign or a festive, etc., the whole campaign approach that we will need to have a 8-week, 10-week kind of a campaign, that has probably gone out of the window. And it is nothing like breaking on day one that, we will have the outdoors, the print and the TV all firing in. So it was almost like a war-like, approach to the marketing, which is no longer the case. Call it the death of the campaign that you might be, that And earlier, like for example, it was said that search has to be always on. Today, marketing has to be always on, and with multiple copies. You may break with anything. You may break your campaign with an outdoor and break with the digital, 7 days later, and probably come to the TV at the last end of the leg to really complete your reach. That's how it has become.
Is it working? Not working. Okay. Also, I think the same creative doesn't work for everybody anymore. Okay. There are so many personas. I know a few brands who have been building persona-based social as well, right? And the same creative will not work for everybody. So you will have to do different creatives, different level of A/B testing. Now, for example, let me just give you a picture, right? For a smartphone purchase journey, right? You will have one is a creator, one is a fashionista, right? And you will have to now cut your creative to suit that particular audience. And then you will have to cut your medium in different ways so that that creative reaches out to exactly that audience so that you can reduce wastage. That is the level of detailing which is now required. Gone are those days where you can just have one asset and you do exactly what you were saying, that you go into a war room and you take it all live and then you celebrate. No, not happening anymore. Always on marketing is now the game. And how do you make those assets work for that specific user is now the game, actually.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm sure going to walk away with many insights after this and learn quite a few after this is over. So my next question, and I'll put that to you, Kanika, is, and we spoke about social media, most panelists have touched upon different formats. But this fast-spreading misinformation, and over the past few years, I think that's just gone up, right? And in that kind of a scenario, how do you ensure consistent communication that is in line with your brand's messaging?
I think for an industry like us, we use a lot more influencers at times because in order to tell people that, something, you can't tell that through a brand storytelling, but you can do through them because people believe in them. They are creators who are believed to be saying the truth. So therefore, people believe them, and that is what drives believability for us. And if there's any misinformation, we tend to, use a lot more creators and put that out. Beyond that, we also sometimes rely on a lot more PR as well, because sometimes paid PR, sometimes organic, because there can be, in an industry like us, there can be outages on network, etc. So, if not communicated in time, the consumer can feel left out. So for us, care for a consumer is very, very important, making him believe that we as a brand care for our consumers. So therefore, we use multiple ways and means, and PR, influencers is all that we take up, in order to stay there. The other part is on consistent messaging. I think we follow broad principles or guardrails as a brand that, since we are also spread out largely nationally, we also give guardrails to our circle teams, which are state teams, as to what kind of guardrails to follow, do's and don'ts, what are the value systems to follow. So that we maintain, and we've kind of created like a brand vocab which exists for the brand, and that helps us stay in the right tone for the consumer outreach in any form and factor.
Mayank, how does it work for Vivo?
I think Kanika rightly said in terms of, I think the first and foremost thing to brand to be stay consistent is a brand guardrail. If you are able to establish them and not even establish in terms of practice and execute them, I think that's the way forward for you. Because that is something, a practice which each and every communication of yours, employees of yours, or your influencer of yours follows. So that's part one. Second is you do advocacy about it in terms of, right? And from the large organization like Vivo, we have like, if I includes employee strength and the partners and the last man standing on the outlet, as massive stone as there are 35,000 people, right? So if just 35,000 people are speaking the same language in same tonality, right? It's some way or the other sets into that particular context, okay, this is the communication to be controlled. Is this very seamless? No. Because controlling 35,000 people talking the same language, it's a challenge. But yes, when we have those brand guardrails out there, it definitely defines. It may not be as accurate as it could be, but very well within the limit. So that's how you have to control, and you have to do multiple times because it's not happening at once. So like in Vivo, we follow a complex structure which is called as 1 plus n plus x. So 1 is something which is a uniformity what brand stands for. So Vivo stands for the joy. Now on a N is multiple product which comes into, which could be because joy is a large canvas. You could have a joy of travel, you could have a joy of family, you could have joy of connections, and X, Y, Z. And then the X are the scenarios. I am sitting with my family, I am happy. I am traveling, I am happy. I am going with my friends, I am happy. Just joy, right? So these are the various terms of you define into. So guardrail is something which defines you, okay, this is my genre. And to be in this case, one N and X gives you those tools to play around that particular stuff. So it's pretty much there. So it gives you one thing in terms of guardrail. At the same time, gives you a flexibility to play vertical contents. So it's pretty much controlled out there. Yeah.
Rachit?
I think I'm the youngest brand on the panel, so I don't really have the struggle of 35,000 people managing what they're saying at any point in time. But still, I think defining what the brand stands for, defining what's the main story we're communicating, if that central messaging is going out in the proper manner, social at the end of the day is just a channel. I've got to ensure that messaging hits the same way through my offline team, through my main campaign, which I do, let's say, on connected TV, and social, of course, follows suit. But at the end of the day, having clarity on what that purpose you're solving for and why you exist in the first place, which will essentially drive that story on ground and through every channel. I think that's the fundamental piece which we try focusing on and making sure that remains consistent. Because even, let's say, at a central level, if I'm talking multiple points in a certain time, I don't know how much gets registered with the end customer. If I can talk that one point over and over again with clarity, with definition, that will perhaps hit home much better than doing multiple things at multiple different time points.
Super interesting. Sumit, what's your take on this? So we are talking about tackling misinformation, and we are talking, consistency in the brand messaging.
Thanks for the mic, by the way. Okay, I have a very different view on this one, right? So misinformation is a part of our industry, okay? And we have known brands who go against brands running smear campaigns. Again, I don't think I'm lying about it. I think everybody is smiling, everybody is agreeing with me. Okay, so my approach is, I will take it head on, okay? As a brand, it's very important to understand the misinformation being spread, and you need to have your own, like for example, at a Qualcomm, right? We are like 22,000 people in India, right? Everybody needs to be aware ki what is happening, chal kya raha hai, right? And it's also, misinformation also has intensity levels, right? You have to decide that. But as a brand, we take that head on, right? We will be the first one to release a statement on any misinformation being spread. And that is carried through our channels, through our employees, across whether it be a press release, whether it be a social media thing, whether it be influencer content, the brand has to lead that narrative. Somehow I am not of the opinion of KOLs or or influencers leading it, because everybody has to be talking the same thing. You cannot have, you might spread even more misinformation if you let others lead it. So my view is, let the brand set the narrative, dealing with that misinformation, and then you utilize your mediums to tackle that, just to optimize on speed, so that you can kill that misinformation as quickly as possible.
Slightly different take is that misinformation can be about anything. It can be about your product, it can be about your service, and about your channel. And with the way information overload and trolling and different things are there, I don't think a brand will have the wherewithal all the time to react or clarify every misinformation. What you need to do is that, like Kanika said, your PR engine needs to be really tight. Every time you have a consistency of your communication, you run it past your legal and try and run it down your company as much as possible. And use a lot of FAQs about already, when you're launching anything new, have FAQs ready and have those backlinks into your search and your blog and your even your websites already in plan. So if anybody really wants to, consumer with a good intent wants to check the veracity of it, information should already be available at the official handles. And that's what I believe. And social channels, for example, recently, we have seen a lot of cases of multiple unverified resellers selling our products on the regular marketplaces. Yeah, sometimes we need to probably react to that. So we took out a campaign saying that XYZ are the only official sellers of our brands. That time, because it was directly hurting our business, we needed to clarify, but not all the time we go out to clarify.
Well, I think each organization has its own way of tackling things, but really interesting insights, these guys. I quite agree with what you said, Sumit, because I've seen it firsthand, when you spoke about tackling misinformation head on, right? I've seen it. And pretty interesting how you guys tackle.
I think the underrated part on this entire thing is community. Okay, and I don't think we give enough credit on the communities which we have built. Let me speak about the example which I know personally. There is Xiaomi community, which we built in our previous organization. Now there is Snapdragon Insiders. Okay, we call our community Insiders. Okay, now those are your people on ground who will first see this misinformation and report it back to you, right? And while your PR engine is already working, seeing what is happening and how much coverage has it generated, community becomes your first action point, which will try to kill that misinformation then and there. And even if at that level, if it is not managed, then the brand needs to react. Okay, and hence the importance of community. I don't think we pay enough attention, but we also need to give back enough gratitude back into our community, because that's your soldier on ground who is fighting for you.
Right. So my next question is going to be, about the shift in consumer behavior. Kanika, I'll go with you again. What recent shift in consumer behavior has surprised you the most, and how did your organization respond?
I think the most recent being, the consumer shifting from long form to short form content. I think that was a big shift because, as I mentioned earlier also, that, earlier we were curating long format content pieces, but now it's about like 3 or 5 seconds is the attention span of a consumer. So it's become very difficult that do you even create such longer stories? And if you have brand stories to tell, then how do you do it? Do you create multiple narratives for it, etc.? So I think the consumer behavior is become, from a marketer lens, you have so much to consume, so many places to consume content on. So it's become very diversified from that lens. Therefore, I think now we are curating assets for the platforms, and it's no more like one size fits all advertising any longer. That doesn't happen. I think that is a big shift from a consumer behavior, and then as a marketer tapping into getting to the consumer with the right format and even the right surfaces and all of that, yeah.
Mayank?
Yeah, I think there are multiple, as I said in the beginning, in terms of being digital, it's very dynamic and it keeps on changing. And I think I'll compliment what Sumit also said, again, community, right? So one thing I see a major change happening is a community-driven buying, right? Because I belong to a certain community. I have my own social stigma. I have my own social status, my social validation. So I belong to this category, I belong to this particular community, bring society, and I hence try to live with it. And society and the community plays a vital role in influencing your buy. So we have to be very much, if I have to go, so we inside call it as going into the consumer, wherein if I have to be him, I have to be there with him. So I have to go to him, talk to his language, live with him, talk to him into day and night, and that's my communication has to be built that way. That's one set of change which we see, and we try to leverage. Why? Because then we have started identifying, okay, this is the community, and we we call them trailblazers basically, who are actually managing one set of community, and another set of communities, another cohort, and another trailblazers, who is the influencer of that particular community. So that's one set of change. Second change which we say is a value-driven buying, or you can say a utility-driven buying. You may be a XYZ brand. But if you are able to connect to me, my day-to-day life, what is I required, the life which I live, the problem which I have, and if you are able to solve my problem, then you are there for me. So I'm going to buy. So that's all I think. I think there's a lot of insights goes inside, okay, our consumers' behavior, their day-to-day life. And trust me, we on an average meet around 7,000 people monthly. And we get into the day-to-day, okay, what's their habit? What type of apps do you use? What is the usage of the phone? How oftenly they use camera? What is the usage of battery? I'd say IP68, IP60. It's a cost to the company, right? How many people are thinking, okay, I'll throw my phone in the swimming pool and I'll take it back and say, okay, hi, hello, how are you? No. But again, it's a cost. So we also try to balance it out. Okay, what's the utility thing happening? Definitely AI tools is a cost. It's a need of the hour. How many people are using AI apart from eraser? How many people actually do AI using their tool? Okay, if I have to make my PowerPoint, I'll use AI on my phone. Definitely I do on my laptop. Will I do on my phone? Things like that. So these are lots and lots of insights which goes in our marketing insights from the consumer point of view. And these shifts keeps on happening. But one thing which we follow is user. We call it user orientation. And we stay with the user, okay, how its habits are changing, how its behaviors is changing. Could be community-led, could be utility value buying, and we try to adapt as early as possible. Last, I think what we have seen in few, I'll say not a decade, but maybe 5 years, is a premiumization happening. For our category specifically, if you say GfK reports also, the category is moving very slowly in terms of 3 to 4%. But the ASP is growing like anything. Especially the value of 30K plus or a 50K plus device. It's a massive growth of 50%. A 50% growth on a 50K plus devices. It's a huge market. So that's what I think and we take it as an opportunity. So from a Vivo point of view, we were being known as introducing lots and lots of mass products which is under 30K. But we have changed gears now. We are coming into beyond 50K. We are going to our 80K also. Because we see people spending premiumization. That's the value because people have started living their life after COVID. And thanks to upgrades offers and maybe exchange offers, thanks to banking, again, it's a cost to us. But again, because it's making you pocket friendly. If I am able to afford what is cost to me, if I buy a 80,000 rupees phone, thanks to EMI, no cost EMI, it's a 3,000 rupees a month for me. I am living my life. Yeah, so these are a few changes which keeps on happening. It's just how quickly you react to those. Yeah.
Agreed. I was just speaking to someone just yesterday, and the point was that they are, most consumers are now not looking at the upfront cost, but they are looking at the monthly EMI, and that just breaks things down for most people.
And trust me, above 50K, 80% of the product sells on EMI, no cost EMI. And who is bearing this cost? The company. Sorry.
Rachit.
I think I'll springboard from where Mayank left it at being true to the consumer, true to the user, and their pursuit for premium experiences. What we've seen in our world essentially is that people increasingly crave for these experiences, but to what extent they're going is something we're also pleasantly surprised with. Let's say in our category, we have a product called Smart Door Lock. Now that's still new. Let's say for those who've not traveled, let's say, or not seen what all technology is possible today. But once you get into the world of using a smart door lock, there's no looking back, as in you'll truly forget the days when you ever struggled to carry keys in your pocket. But the interesting bit, what we've seen is people just don't stop there. Having tried a smart door lock, let me upgrade that with a smart video doorbell. That why should I just leave it there? And that's where the premium experiences don't stop. I've tried these two products from this brand. Now let me get the entire home upgraded to a smart home. So I'll get my smart security cameras, I'll get my smart appliances. And essentially what that results in is a huge attach rate for all sorts of customers that are coming in. Now that for a young brand is significant because then I shift gears. I'm not just selling one individual product, I'm selling the entire experience. I'm selling packages. So which is not just happening on, let's say, my channels, but even when customers are reaching out for consultations. I'm not just pitching one product, I'm pitching the entire solution, what is possible using Qubo products. I think that's a significant change, and we're super happy to cater to such evolving needs of the consumer.
Great. I'm a happy smart door lock user as well, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Glad to.
Sumit.
I think the biggest consumer shift is people are not buying from brands anymore. People buy from another people, right? And that is the biggest shift. As a brand marketing guy, you can obviously make them aware, but how much play? We can talk about frequency, we can talk about influencers and everybody else, right? But people buy from people. People do not buy from brands anymore. So that is one big consumer shift which you will see almost immediately. And if you dive deeper into it, you will find many more examples. Second thing, I think both gentlemen spoke very well. Premiumization, right? 70% of the iPhones sold in India are sold on EMIs. Okay. 2024 was the first time we as a country sold 4 million passenger vehicles. Our ASP, both on smartphones. So a lot of people, especially if you look from an outside view, people think that India is a feature phone market, low cost cars. That's absolutely a wrong story, right? We do not, because of easy affordability of EMI and loans and things like those, we now see a major shift. He's right, 50% jump in ASPs, you can see it, okay? And the growth is still coming in. While your ASPs are rising, the growth is still coming in. So people are now much more aware, and this is one point which I spoke about earlier as well. People want to know what is going inside their own products at a micro component, at a component level. Never ever we have seen this awareness, right? People are willing to spend more, okay? So for example, if I'm making 30,000 rupees, I might buy a 50,000 rupee phone, because even if you go to a Chroma today, you will see, for that matter, they display the monthly cost. Nobody is telling you the upfront cost. Okay, so everybody is now moving in that direction. Consumer is becoming much more premium, much more aware of what they are holding in their hands, what they are placing in their homes, and they buy from other people, right? Whether it be their favorite influencer, whether it be a Reddit reviewer, right? People are now buying there. Our job as a fraternity is to make people aware, right? And make people consider. Conversion happens somewhere else.
So I'll answer it in two parts. I think a lot of discussions around the products per se. We actually at HMD cater to let's say the lower end of the pyramid for bulk of our business, feature phones. And let's say and we are in a transition where we are also selling, Nokia, and as well as selling our own brand, HMD. The pundits, or let's say the IDCs and of the world kind of really predicted that it is shrinking, it will go away, everybody will get into a smartphone, but that did not happen. And we also could see that really the cream of the feature phone markets, which is let's say between 3,000 to 5,000, which with a lot of nostalgia value, that was in fact not shrinking but growing. And when we dug deep into that, that was kind of colliding a lot with a lot of people using a second phone. We are otherwise using a premium smartphone. It could be an Apple or a Samsung or any premium brand like Vivo. But they are using that as a secondary phone, and there was always beyond nostalgia. So therefore, that also became inspiration to us. That if they are using it, how can their experience be a little more seamless, and their cutoff point from all access in smartphone to a feature phone, and how can the experience be less dumb, if I may say so. So therefore, give them the the convenience of the UPI which we launched into those phones. Give them all other features, like let's say if you can do even location tracking, if that is possible. And that is really is guiding our philosophy of really planning for the next range of detox phones, where short of smart, how can they have touchscreen, how can they have other features which will kind of, even if it's a weekend phone or anything, it can be more meaningful. So that really is one change that I have seen. Secondly, I feel that somewhere in the last 4 or 5 years, I mean maybe I think 7 or 8 years, we have seen a lot many workshops and panels have spent on the whole influencer economy, or the influencer marketing. And I have had chance to look at the influencers from almost 3 companies that I have worked in the last 7 or 8 years. the growing of them, a lot of influencers really becoming bona fide prima donnas of the industry, and then came the slight disenchantment with that, and then we started looking at micro influencers, nano influencers. I feel that that cycle is near maturity or near complete. So while you may still do, if you're defending your turf as a big brand, you may still want to go as influencer marketing as your hygiene or as your checklist. But that is no longer a guarantee for your long-term success of that. Because consumers, especially Gen Alpha and Gen Z, they're seeing through the best of influencers.
Well, great answers, I think, and we are sort of midway through our discussion, and I still have a bunch of questions to ask you guys, but unfortunately, we are running short on time, so I'll ask you guys to keep your answers short, but I do want to, still ask a few questions that I have in my list. One question really is that, and, I think it's a huge challenge, is how do you identify and validate emerging consumer trends before they become mainstream? And that, I think, is a real challenge. Kanika.
So we invest a lot on research. So reading the consumers, talking to them, speaking to them. And like Mayank was mentioning, we also spend lots of our time, bandwidth, reaching out to our own people itself. So we learn not only from consumers, but our workforce as well. Like, because they understand the consumer way more than we sitting out in corporate offices can. Because they are reaching out day in and day out to those people and, meeting them. So I think we learn a lot more from there. And there's a lot of spot trending which happens from there. We recently did one study. Now, as smartphone is becoming the thing for everyone, and you spend, say, 8 hours, 6 hours a day on it, So what's happening is data is becoming the fuel of everything. So we did one research where we said you have to stay out of your phones for 3 or 4 hours. We locked everyone in a room. And, people's hands, like their fingers, were shivering. They didn't know what to do with them. So that's what is important when we gave them that, if we take this out of your life, how do you do it? And people didn't have answers, and we did it across lots of age groups, from youngsters to elder people, to middle-aged people. And it is a very interesting study, and we learned a lot from there. So I think a lot, and then beyond that, we also do spend a lot on ethnographic studies, going out to certain markets, etc., doing some studies which are relevant to a particular geography. So all of that is what we invest on a lot. And for us, social listening also helps. Like, there are trends that are getting talked about, and so we pick from there as well.
Mayank?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much same. But I think what I'll try to say is we may not be aware in terms of what's coming as massive. We can only predict. What we can do is we can have a faster turnaround time. What we intend to be is more agile. Okay, so why? Because there are forces. As we say, we do user orientations. We say, okay, we have a large community of Vivo named Voice, and we have some 20 million odd people out there who are there, the community, we're building on things, and living on social life. And trust me, this social is a segment in terms of what happens, what goes, you never know. It may be a short wave, it comes as a viral, it's a trending, maybe a 3 days, 4 days, you never know will stay for 5 months. So, as a brand, how soon are you going to react to it?
Agility is basically.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what you have to take a call. Is it a short lived? You want to be participate into it, or just have a shock in terms of knock and just get out of it? Or you want to really invest on this because it's a large call. So what we intend to do is we are pretty much prepared, and we have a different task force which is known as Agile within the company, who have been given, okay, these are like a task force. Okay, boss, action happening, take a call, to be done, not to be done. React. But do you want to invest? It's a larger call. But yes, we don't have to get into a large format. Okay, we'll do into a format, we'll do a review of 2 months, then 3 months prototype will happen. And after, okay, the wave has gone. Gone are the days. So yeah, there is definitely, we can predict things coming up. We have to be prepared in terms of should we adapt or not, and how much to react or not. But honestly speaking, can we predict is going to be a wave? As of now, we are struggling, yeah.
Understood. Rachit?
I think the other problem is how many trends are even coming? As in, through the day, through 24 hours, things change and something is trending, and next moment something else is trending. At one point, RCB winning the glory was the thing talked about, but then what happened is something else was taking the light away from the cup itself.
Right.
But that's the thing, that as a brand, how do you stay agile? But with that knowledge, what do? You run small experiments. So let's say in our case, we at the marketing team, we are the guinea pigs to try things out. We'll try out those small content pieces, okay, maybe in-house, scratchily done, but at least have something out in the market to test it. Works well, doesn't work well, that's a separate story, but it works well, then I can definitely do it a lot more better, kind of invest behind heavily on it, and then perhaps scale it in a manner which deserves the investment. But I think the important part is to stay in the know as to what's happening, be it culturally or even in your category.
Great answer, Rajat. So,
I think trend latching has become a trend within the marketing teams. Okay, the biggest thing is I'll tell you a trend. I think most of the people here would have seen this. Ki next brand commercial should be made by AI. Okay, this is the newest trend which is going on. Your next brand film should be done by AI. And now, do you want to latch on to that or not? Okay, I'll give you an example. When you go back home, just look for this, I think it is Parley Gluco Plus ad on YouTube. Okay, now it is, see, you can get a lot of information. You can get a lot of pressure also from your own leadership. But do you really want to latch on to that particular trend or not? That is completely one call. Now, how do you stay ahead? That's your second question, right? Two things, okay? Number one, stay in the market. Okay, a lot of us and a lot of the media and the marketing teams just stay in offices. Okay, doesn't work. Okay, you have to step into on the ground to see what's actually happening. How is your product selling? Talk to your consumers. So many other things to do. Jumping in the market is one core thing to do, and we continue to do it. The second thing is, I think, wrong answer? Okay. All right. The second thing is, utilize your community, and I will still re-emphasize on this one. Utilize your community. They will be the first people to tell you what is the next trend, how do you become even more relevant, right? So utilize these 2-3 things, and I think you will win.
Time's up, so I'll keep it short. One, I would probably look at, your question was that how do you really identify a trend? So let's cast our mind back, probably around 18 to 20 months back when AI, Gen AI, it really started getting heating up, ChatGPT, etc. And while we are all reading about it, I suddenly started seeing, and it's my agency folks and even the junior most ones, writing very, very crisp emails and very, very crisp, minutes of the meeting. And I was really astounded by the sudden change. And then I could see that, okay, ChatGPT is now mainstream. So really, that was one observation. And I mean, really, nothing much to add in saying that if you're genuine about trend spotting, I think it's whether it is Reddit, Discord, or anything. Completely agree with Sumit that that's where you do the testing of that and really validation that if this trend is matching with my brand ethos or not, and need to act on it or not. I think that's it.
Well, yeah, we are short on time. I did have one question on AI, but I think you guys have already touched upon it to some extent. So I'll just very quickly go to my last question, and please treat this as a rapid fire. So it'll just be like a one-line answer that I'm looking for. What emerging platform or technology do you believe will have the biggest impact on consumer engagement in the next 2-3 years? So please keep this really, really short. Just one line, please.
I think CTV for me is the way it is evolving will have a huge impact, especially from a premiumization lens, the way we are looking at the market growing.
Nice. Mayank?
It's out, I think. So I think I'll still go with the AI, but if you're going to marry the AI with the platform and the content generation, I think brands since crack static, video is yet to be cracked. But if you are to seamlessly integrate both the content generation and the platform integration, you are done. Yeah.
Rachit?
As expensive as it might be, I would lay my bet on spatial experiences. So an Apple Vision Pro becoming far too common and you witnessing that experience in person wherever you are. Okay. I'd like to believe you.
Sumit?
I think I actually agree with him. And I think XR, mixed reality, is going to change the game. Why is it important? We are already seeing Ray-Ban Metas being completely sold out in the India market. You already see that people are now looking for those experiences. So XR mixed reality, how do you integrate that? That is going to be the game changer for all of us marketeers as well.
Totally agree with that, and I think for a lot of brands, who have, especially in, let's say, fashion or eyewear or anything, who have got multiple ways to really that interaction point, whether you call it through glance or anything, AI is really facilitating the storefront, facilitating the way that the consumers can interact with from a digital standpoint, from a D2C standpoint. I think that is truly the the game changer in terms of immersive consumer experience.
Great. I think we are just at the point of being evicted right now from the stage, so we'll wrap this up. That was a great, great conversation. I learned quite a few things. I hope you guys did. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Kanika. Thanks, Mayank, Rachit, Sumit, Tathagat. It was a great conversation. I think we'll take it. We'll continue and we'll take it offline as well. So, thanks for having us, guys.